And we are live with episode 178 of the Start, Build, Grow Show. Randy Brothers, my friend, what's going on?
Living the dream, man. 6 inches of snow outside, so not exactly doing much roofing today, but great day to just get in front of the computer and work all day long in my sweat. So it's been a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
man.
awesome, man. This is the first one after the mastermind, too. The first episode after the mastermind.
It
We got
is.
a guest that the company was actually there. It was one of the sponsors at the
Yeah.
event.
Yeah, we got a ton of feedback. I mean, so I got connected with Charlie. Well, actually, we kind of got connected a little bit early on, through some other recommendations. But then I went to Jim's event and got to actually kind of talk to you and kind of meet you and Ty and really kind of dive a little bit more into the technology that you guys are doing. And I'm like, all right, this is next level. So it was kind of cool to kind of get to know you guys, but then also, I'm always looking for ways to you know, be a first mover, so to speak, or to try to find new ways to streamline my business, implement technology, and make things, more smooth, and ultimately give us an advantage to try to, increase our close, increase our engagement from our sales team. Intentional pun or intentional reference there, but this, I mean, I saw what you guys do. My team got exposed, and it was like kind of a no brainer. Like, hey, we got to look into this, which I'm not going to ruin the surprise because you're going to be able to kind of do some demos. But Charlie, you're making big moves and a big splash in the roofing industry, and I'm seeing more and more people like jump on and connecting with your product. But welcome aboard, man, Charlie, with Engage.
Yeah, Nick, Randy, thanks for having me. Excited to be here today and kind of share the results that we've been working with roofers across the country and show them
Mhm.
some really cool stuff that they can focus on for 2022. Exactly
Mhm.
what you said, Randy, being innovative, thinking about their presentations, and showing them some really cool stuff that'll help their business this year.
Yeah,
Yeah, so the way I got connected with Charlie was actually through Chuck Thoke, right? So the
yeah,
retail roofing sales king, right? So one of those consultants that was just pushing it, like you got to check out Engage, you got to check out Engage, you got to check out Engage. Sure enough, Randy ended up signing up with Elite Roofing, and I know he's loving that system. I already talked to his sales guys too; seem to be loving it as well. So first off, Charlie, for those who don't know, what is Engage all about? What is Engage?
Yeah, so Engage is a sales presentation platform. But when you think about your sales presentations, I imagine a lot of you are thinking about the flip books, the PowerPoints, some of the outdated content, or maybe even some of the digital content you're still using today. And so what Engage does is it helps you put together a really professional and interactive sales presentation for your team that's going to help you stand out from the competition and kill it in the home with your customers. There's
Mm-hmm.
an opportunity to improve that customer experience, and you're using a ton of technology, CRMs, your pricing tools. What are you doing for your presentation? And so we're here to help you think about what's that next phase for how you guys present in the home, virtually, wherever you're meeting your customers. And then
Mm-hmm.
we have some really powerful features on the back end that are going to actually improve your results. We're talking close rates, we're talking average deal sizes. So actual results by roofers who are taking that next step to innovate in their business around their sales presentations and their sales process.
Awesome. And yeah, we'll go through kind of some examples and how people could be implementing Engage into their sales processes, the presentations, everything like that. But before we do, Charlie, who are you? How did you get, how did you start working with Engage? How did you get into this space?
Yeah. What's up, everybody? Coming from Brooklyn today. Randy, it's a little, no snow out here, but it is a little chilly. But all is good here in New York. So, what's funny is I've actually been working in technology for over 10 years now. When I was thinking about what I wanted to do, iPhones were coming out, tablets were coming out. There was a ton of advancements in the technology space and a ton of companies doing really innovative stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, I was thinking about, hey, how can I be a part of that? And work with really great hardware, really cool technology companies. And I came across and started working at a company that was looking to innovate on interactive content. it was about the time the iPad first came out, when Apple first launched it, and everybody kind of thought it was a joke piece of technology. I have a computer, I have a phone, what am I going to do with this? It's just a third device. And you can't imagine how many iPads they've sold over the last 10 years. So that device has completely transformed the types of technology hardware we're using in the home. And so we were thinking about the content people are engaging with on a day-to-day basis. We were actually the first company to introduce books and magazines. The first Super Bowl program on the iPad was developed by our team here. So thinking about that transformation from print and the types of media people are typically involved with, and how we can move that into the digital space and that transformation of content that a lot of us have seen over the last 10 years. So I was kind of hooked, kind of a technology geek, wanted to work at a tech company, and it was just the right time. And here we are today kind of thinking about actual results and things people can do in the technology space. And I love kind of working with companies, innovative business leaders, and pulling in that technology piece to their business that's going to help them grow and think about the next 10 years. So it's just kind of a personal passion that I figured out how to make a living out of and work with a really cool company. And, like you guys mentioned, we've gotten exposure to a ton of really talented people in the space that have just made this journey even better than I could have imagined.
Mm-hmm. So, Randy, do you have something you want to say?
I was going to say, I can imagine it's just pretty cool in general. I mean, we're merging like a technology industry, and we're just a bunch of blue collar roofers, man. Just, you know what I mean? It's like there's so many there's this emergence that's kind of happening over the last 3, 4, 5 years, and being heavily involved with startups from a construction space. Not only do I coach a lot of people that are starting up or whatever, but starting my own roofing companies and those sort of things. It's got to be like way different in a technology space, and I've always just been intrigued with like what that kind of environment is like being a part of a because you could see some of these companies just with the right piece of software and the right team just explode overnight, and I can just imagine that just being really fun. Like I'm gonna go off the rails here because like I've always imagined what it would be like just and it's some of our sponsors. You got like Job Nimbus, who's just exploding overnight, and Company Cam, who's a sponsor of ours as well. Like just like the amount of explosive growth they've had over the years. Like I couldn't imagine just being in an office, working day to day, and just experiencing something like that. I mean, give me some insight on that.
Yeah, working at a tech company is pretty much what you're explaining, Randy. It's super fast moving. You're always trying to innovate. What's great about developing software is if you see a problem, it can be solved. There's really nothing that is out there that can't be developed or implemented. And that's what's great about working for a fast moving company that's trying to solve real world problems. And we're talking to customers on an ongoing basis. And it's, if you're talking to our product or development team, like that's something fun and exciting to solve. And, unlike some of the other types of businesses where, things take time to implement, the power of working with technology and software, super fast moving. I mean, think about the apps you download on your phone every day. There's always something new and cool your friends showing you in your day-to-day life. The types of ways we've engaged with media, content, the way our cell phones interact day to day, that's exactly what it is kind of working in the technology space. And then when you find a product market fit for what you're doing, when you're actually building something that works to help somebody's business, day-to-day interactions with customers, I mean, that's even more powerful because you got a driving force behind it as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you mentioned that the tablets and stuff like that. I mean, it has just made such a big impact, and we'll kind of talk about how you guys can utilize these presentations on tablets. But I mean, in terms of tablets, it was 14.7 million Apple tablets that were sold in just Q3 of last year. You know what I mean? So it really is insane how a product like that you felt like didn't really have a fit really did find a fit. Especially in the professional environment.
Well, they created a new market segment.
Mm-hmm.
They had to create one. It wasn't plugging or changing. They literally created a new segment.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know when I travel, I'm carrying the iPad everywhere for work, fun, entertainment, business now. Would have never thought that otherwise, carrying around a laptop or something else, that there was a device that could just improve your life kind of all around. And that's kind of what happened. When it first came out, we were like, this is a cool device to open up Facebook on, maybe check some emails. And where it's come to today, and the types of software and things you can do with it, the augmented reality, the interactivity, it's incredible. The types of things you can do with the technology that fits, half the size of a laptop space.
Not to mention, like, if you have kids and like I can't go anywhere.
Oh my God!
Without them and their little tablets that they got, it's crazy.
I brought my cousins to work one day for 8 hours, and they're on their tablet the whole time. And when it was done, they said, "Do we really have to go home now?" Because they're sucked in on those tablets, man. It's crazy. So, when contractors come to you and they start working with Engage, are they usually using like Google Slides and PowerPoints and throughout their presentations, or where they're usually at prior to working with Engage?
Listen, what's great about this industry you guys work in is there's so many business owners, so many contractors who are looking to continue to improve and in the end make more money. So when I'm talking to people, they're always looking for innovation. If you're not growing, your business is dying. So what's that next thing that's going to help you? And a lot of the people that I've talked to over the last couple of years are looking to take that next step. So everybody knows about the laminated flip books people used to use. Kind of that next phase was, okay, well, we've got laptops, we've got tablets. Can I save on paper costs? I know how to put together a basic PowerPoint presentation. So we've seen a lot of that over the last couple of years. Now, I want you to think about PowerPoint presentations and maybe what you associate with them. To me, I'm watching a math lecture in high school, and there's a ton of words on the page, and I'm bored to death after an hour. So that association with PowerPoint is really for kind of a lecture, almost school type setting. And it worked for a while. It helped people kind of save money on paper development, but there's much cooler stuff everybody sees day in and day out. Think about the cool stuff on Instagram, the interactive apps you're using. Why not bring that into your business and get that same level of customer experience with how you're interacting with your customers? So a lot of the people we've been talking to over the last 5-6 years have started to think about what's that next phase for my business? What's going to future-proof me for the next couple years and help me stand out from the competition? And it's definitely that transition from either lack of a presentation, laminated flip book, maybe a PowerPoint or Keynote, and they're saying, hey, what's next to help me stand out, to help me showcase the products and services I know are going to look awesome in this customer's home, and also talk about who we are in the best light possible.
So, what aspects make up a really good presentation? What do you say when you're going into the roofing space and you're presenting to a homeowner? What are some aspects that you should be focusing on to create a great presentation?
Yeah, listen, what differentiates you from the competition down the street is your story. If you're not telling your story, then you're competing on price. So a lot of people do this already. I think there's an opportunity to really showcase that in a more powerful light, in a more visual way. So definitely differentiating yourself, building credibility, core component of how you talk to homeowners. They want to know that you're the right contractor for the job. You've got the experience. They're not going to get poor quality products or service. So really explaining who you guys are. Now, that second component is who you work with. What are the products, services you're selling? What's installation look like? What are next steps? How is working with my team going to be different? Now, 2/3 of people are visual learners first. So if you're using a presentation, you're already ahead of the game in terms of the competition. And high quality photos and visuals, if they're not something that you're showcasing to customers, that content is going to be less persuasive. So how do you tie those components together? High quality photos, high quality visuals into your presentation that's going to differentiate yourself, set yourselves apart from the competition. And in the end, give that homeowner a great customer experience from the first time they meet a member of your company.
Yeah. Now, Randy, you said you just recently set up yours for Lee Roofing, right?
So yeah, I think we're in our second iteration or something. They what's cool about Engage is they like literally help you build all this out. So I hate to say like archaic, but we had a pretty advanced PowerPoint that we've developed over years and years and years, right? Or a Google Slide, and which the reality of it is even that is pretty advanced to compare to most people. I mean, most companies here's, they're just going to try to talk their way into a sale with a contract and a clipboard. And if they have a flip book, so to speak, they're a little bit more advanced and then step their game up to a presentation. But yeah, so we're in, I think it's the second one. I know Cody's in charge of that project, but yeah, we're in our second iteration. I know that my team is kind of chomping at the bit to really, test it out and to make this thing work. But to add on to what we were talking about earlier, you nailed it with the story, and then explaining, first and foremost, having a process is vitally important, because our objective when we're trying to sell and make it comfortable, make a homeowner, want to buy from us, we got to make them feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Right. We got to get them to know, like, and trust us and feel comfortable making a decision, a large decision. Average roof nowadays is like 20 grand. So, they're making a pretty large decision. We got to make them feel comfortable. And if we as a company are really dialed in and we have really sophisticated, systems and processes that our sales teams can explain to a homeowner, that brings that comfort level down or up, and it brings that guard down, and it makes them feel more comfortable with you. So first off, you need a process. Second off, you need to be able to articulate and show that process through a software, through your presentation, through your sales system, in order to really enhance the ability to get that comfort level up and then sell more deals.
So what are the main features, would you say? So obviously it's engaged. So the whole idea is having more of an engaging presentation. What are some like the features that you would say that really takes it from the next level of a PowerPoint presentation to more of an engaged presentation?
Yeah. So one thing that I hear a lot of, people don't like hardcore sales tactics, and they don't like to be dragged through a formal sales presentation. Think about a hardcore, somebody who's pushing you to get that sale. They're going through that process and they're not necessarily listening. What's great about Engage is it gives you a little bit more flexibility than a linear PowerPoint presentation, and it feels more conversational to your customers. So as you're going through this and you identify a customer's problem, are they trying to get a beautiful out exterior to their home? Are they trying to fix problems on their roof? How are you going to solve their problems? Can your presentation be flexible and cater enough to that customer's needs? And so, once you have that process in place, like Randy's telling you, now there's components that are going to resonate with some customers more than others. So you need some flexibility in how you present that information. There's obviously core components that are part of every sales meeting that you want everybody to hit on. But what's great about Engage is there's unique navigation that just gives your reps some more flexibility in how they talk with your customers. If there's more details, there's more depth to the presentation. So pulling up photos, videos, your online reviews, all of that information can be a component of your sales presentation to support your sales process. So when you give that flexibility to a rep, not only is it more conversational and it feels more personable to the homeowner, but you've built a ton of confidence for that sales rep to answer those questions and go through that. And so they've got a beautiful interactive presentation that has all the resources they need just to tap away. And there's some flexibility in there because every meeting's different. Every customer's needs and wants and desires change. If you can support your sales rep to have that process baked in, to have those high quality photos, images, and add some depth and some flexibility to the presentation, that's significantly going to improve your results. And we'll talk a little bit later, but we're talking higher close rates. We're talking higher average deal sizes. A lot of the roofers we work with are seeing some actual incredible revenue numbers when just switching from their existing presentation results. I have a customer who saw a 15-point increase just moving from Keynote to Engage. More visual, easier navigation, more flexibility in the presentation. We'll get into kind of the back end, but that's what your rep's using to present. And there's some really incredible results for your business just by incorporating that types of content.
So I do a lot of assessments and kind of like understanding the psychology behind the sales, right? There's no like one specific script or one specific way to sell anything. The reality of it is you're dealing with human to human interaction. And humans are wired in many different ways. We all have our own personal style, right? And everybody's a little bit different, a little bit unique. And to have that versatility to not just say, and that's one of the challenges I used to face was, we had this linear slide deck where it's like, go through this one, go do this one, go to this one, go to this one.
Mm.
Whereas not every piece of that is captivating to the type of buyer we're dealing with. You know, some buyers, you know, want 2 hours worth of information before they make a decision. Some people need 3 pieces of value and they're ready to go. You know, you think about buying a TV. Who's the type of person, you know, for me, give my own example here. If I'm going to buy a TV or make a purchase like that, I'm going to go into the TV store. I'm going to go into Best Buy. I'm going to look at what's the best bang for my buck, best value, and coolest.
And you're going to buy it immediately.
And I'm going to buy it and walk out
right
of it.
away.
I'm done. My time is worth more than, you know, checking 4,000 reviews and looking at every single TV. I'm going to go in and ask the guy, what's the best value in this place? Samsung 75-inch, blah, blah, blah. You can use this one or this one. I don't need that one because it's too much, and I'm going to find the middle one. Here's my card. Let's move on. But there's also buyers that are going to go in, look at every single TV, talk to the TV person for 2 hours, then go home and then check all the reviews and then, you know, go back 2 or 3 times before they make the decision. We need to have a tool that is flexible to where we can understand when to press and when to pull back and when to close the deal when they're ready. So having something like this is a great way to do that. And that's what I'm excited about is, you know, we really teach and study this stuff from a very, you know, scientific perspective of how to identify the persona of our buyer as we're, you know, interacting with them early and often to figure out exactly what it's going to take to close that deal. And to have a tool that's flexible is huge.
Really well said. So, I mean, basically, instead of having a linear presentation, Engage is going to allow you to adjust the presentation based on the prospect and what they want to hear.
Exactly. So there's some depth to each page. So if I'm explaining the components of our roofing system, a lot of people know about the shingle options. They probably looked at colors they like online. Do they understand all the components, the decking, the insulation? You know, you could go through that in layers, educate people more effectively, and give the sales rep some flexibility to have that conversation without forcing the information in the same process over and over again. You know, people expect the marketing materials and the sales collateral that you guys are putting together to cater their needs. If it's not going to resonate with them as much as it could.
Could you kind of go in depth too? Because I know you guys offer some statistics on the presentation on the back end that I believe sales managers and owners can actually look at and review. Is that correct?
Yeah. So the first component we just talked through, kind of improving your customer experience, improving the confidence of your sales team. And that can be accomplished by leveraging the technology you guys are using today, like an iPad, with interactive, more visual, higher quality presentations. Now, once you have that in place, to Randy's point, what we were talking about is that consistency. You know that there's a sales process and a technique and information that's going to help you guys close deals, especially over the competition. What's differentiating you? What's building value for the customer? There's some core components that you guys need to hit on every time you talk with a customer. Now, most people I talk to have an opportunity to do a ride along, not as often as they'd like. A lot of people are juggling a lot of things on their plate. So if you don't have the opportunity to do a ride along each time with your sales team, how do you know that they're following that process that you guys are training toward? How do you know what your top rep's doing? And how do you replicate that for the other team members to get everybody making as much money as they can? Or if you're looking to hire new team members, what's the quickest way to understand how their first meeting went out in the field? So what we do, in addition to helping you modernize that presentation, we give you a variety of analytics that are really easy to use and gain some quick insights from what's actually happening out in the field. So if you're using the presentation, your reps, every time they talk with a customer, you'll understand exactly how they went through that presentation. What pages did they use? How long they've spent on each slide? What's the average duration by rep? And when I talk to sales managers and owners, not only does this free up some time from having to do a ride along every single time, they can reduce and bring some of that time back in to accomplish some of their other goals, focus on some other reps as well. But now you get those insights into what's actually happening out in the field. So you guys are trying to sell more extended warranties. Is everybody on the team actually presenting your extended warranties? You'll have access to that data. Like we talked about before, your company story is what differentiates you and helps you stop competing on price. Are people actually going through that in a manner that's educating your customers, building value, And so as a sales manager, as a business owner, as a general manager, you're going in and saying, okay, well, I actually have access to that data now. I can bring that back into a sales meeting. Maybe if somebody's sales, if their close rate was off last month, what changed month over month in how they were presenting? Maybe it was a hard month, maybe you got some bad leads, but maybe there's actual insights that you can action so that everybody can be your top performer.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Randy, how important is that information, right? Having statistics to back up and have strategic plans on what you change in the presentation or anything like that, right?
I mean, yeah, data's everything. I mean, look, I'll ask you that question as the digital marketing guy, and it brings up, because we gotta talk about our sponsors here in just a sec. But I see Tim watching with the Hook Agency, one of our newer sponsors, and I mean, when you're doing SEO and websites and digital marketing, I mean, Nick, that's in your world. Like, how important is that data to understand, what levers to push and what things to focus on? If you don't have that information, what are you going to do? Before all this, one of the key, elements that I think from when you're teaching salespeople that we don't pay enough attention to is getting the information as to why someone made a purchase from us, as well as why they didn't make a purchase from us. When we don't have, especially the first part of that, is we get a sale, cool, congratulations, here's a handshake, let's go. But we don't ever ask them, why did they buy from us? Okay, ask them why someone bought from. I know I'm off on a little tangent, but this is such valuable sales strategy, because that information is vital, because that's going to help you to continue to refine your skills as a salesperson. You get through doing a presentation, you ask, why did you buy from us? Oh, you guys had the best tool, the best presentation out there. You were very clear in explaining your process. Awesome. I want to know that data, because now I can make educated decisions as I'm trying to grow my sales team.
Absolutely. So let's do that though. So let's take a quick break to thank our sponsors. Then from there, we can kind of close out on some things and finish out the episode. But we're going to start out with JobNimbus.
JobNimbus is a fully customizable back office solution.
Track leads, jobs, tasks from one easy-to-use software.
And with the largest ecosystem of integrated partners, if we don't do it, we have a friend who does.
Learn how the #1 back office system in roofing
can help you be efficient, be organized, be professional, and be profitable.
So if you have not checked out JobNimbus, please do it. info.jobnimbus.com/roofing-academy. And for the people out there in the storm markets, dealing with hail, we saw Texas already got hail.
Already getting hit.
Already getting hit. Of course. You can't at this point. I do, man. It seems like it's always getting hit. Oh, if you're out there, make sure you're checking out our friends at Hail Trace.
If you're in the hail game, if you're working hail claims and selling roofs that have hail damage, you need to know where the hail is, how big the hail is, and when it hailed. I mean, if you're on the fence, it's a game changer.
So you use Hail Trace, you got that big claim, right? Now you need a public adjuster maybe. You got to check out our friends at C3 Group.
C3 Group's learning management system allows users access to digital training content, virtual trainings, and integrated chapter exams, all with the goal of helping a student prepare for user certification exams, as well as prepare them for real-world situations we know are faced daily. As a leader in this marketplace, we will continue to add value wherever possible to better our industry as a whole. Join us today and be part of that change.
Hey, we're a big believer in technology, big believer in virtual training. So make sure you're checking them out. If you want to look at it, Xactimate certified via virtual training, go to c3adjusters.com and click on the Xactimate tab, and it'll take you right there. Andrew Behrens teaches that, and he's a smart dude. So Randy, I figured we could start to bring this thing to a close with the golden nuggets now, my friend. So what you got, man? And so Charlie, you get to go second. All right. So we make Randy go first. We end the show always with a golden nugget, something as a key takeaway for our viewers. So Randy, you get to go first. So Charlie gets some time.
That's a tough one, man. You're kind of hitting me with it a little bit off kilter. I didn't even. Did
I finally stump Randy? Did I finally stump Randy? Is he out?
But I can always come up with something, man. And And I think, one of the, maybe just a lesson that I continue to learn, and one of the things that kind of came up recently with me is it's really important as a leader in any sort of capacity. You got to inspect what you expect. Right. I mean, if you're gonna try to build a dynamic sales team, you're gonna try to build something, you're gonna lead other people and delegate things and give people tools such as Engage to grow their business, and then you don't follow up on it and you don't inspect those expectations, you're never going to reach your full capacity. You're never going to get the most out of what you do. So as a leader, as a sales director, as an owner, we got to learn and make sure we're consistent. We got to inspect what we expect.
Inspect what we expect. I like it. Charlie, what you got?
I want everybody to think about in terms of where they can invest in their businesses this year that are going to achieve real results. We're talking more profitability. We're talking more performance by the team on their close rates. And I don't want you to pass over how you're presenting your customer experience and your sales content in the home. So modernizing your presentations, bringing some consistency and accountability across your sales team is actually going to generate more revenue for you guys this year. And thinking about the technology that you've introduced to your business, there's always opportunity for growth and improvement.
Amen to that. Let's have a big year, guys.
Invest in yourself. Invest in your business.
Invest in yourself, invest in your company, reinvest, right? Charlie, man, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you, man.
Yeah, it's been great hanging out with you guys. Thanks for having me on the show.
Absolutely, awesome, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Episode 178, Start Build Grow Show.